日部活は休みだったけど、俺は家が近いのもあって荷物を片付けるためにたまたま学校に来たんです。そしたら
Blue Box, should you watch it? This is going to be one of those shows that is going to be really divisive. I have said this about a lot of other anime that we've watched right here on the channel together, and that statement is this studio is going to be balancing interesting and boring, and there's a very close, like super close gap between boring and interesting. And whether you or myself like the show is going to depend on how much we are not finding empathy, but finding a connection with Taiki, which is the dude, the MC, or Chinatsu, which is the other MC of the show. It's really going to depend on how we are connecting to these characters and if we're connected to them at all. The reality is we have a show here that I gotta tell you, certain parts of the episode, my eyes were glazing over a little bit. And I'm also always very cautious when it comes to main characters when they're boys. With the characters who talk to a girl, but then their inner thoughts don't match their actions. They say, would you like to try this? And inside they're saying, I love you, Daisuke. It's like, yo, bitch, don't be a little bitch. Say it. Say it with your chest. Like, get it out of the way. You know what I mean? And for me personally, this is just a very personal thing, okay? It doesn't mean that this is how you view things. This is just very personal to me, and maybe some of you are on the same page. When I was much younger, okay, so when I was around these kids' age, I wouldn't be like, it's hard to say. I just, like, if I had interest in you, I made it known very quickly, okay? So when we have characters who it takes them a half a year or something to finally confess or lean in that direction, I always really struggle with it, and I just cannot connect to characters like that. I understand it in some senses, but I just have struggles connecting. So that's kind of where it's like, I'll give you guys an example, but let me just say this. Should you watch Blue Box? I think if you are connecting with either one of the characters, Taiki or Chinatsu, then yeah, of course, it's a no-brainer. I think if you're not connecting with them, but you really are enjoying the twist at the end of episode 1 with, you know, Chinatsu suddenly lives with Taiki because of course she does, or you really dig the fact that, you know, so you should watch it if you like that. Or you really dig the fact that it's two sports players. Maybe you have ties to badminton or basketball, and you're seeing these two fall in love, I hope, then maybe, yeah, you watch it. But on the flip side, if you don't have really interest in sports, if you're not connecting to Taiki or Chinatsu, if you're like, oh, anime trope, okay, she's suddenly living with him. If your eyes glazed over like they did in the episode, maybe more than once, because I think I had maybe 2 times where I'm just like, wait, what happened? Because I was like, wow, you know what I mean? I kind of think that maybe this is one that you or I don't watch every week. Maybe we wait at the end of the season, whether you're watching this on Netflix or whether you're watching this by other means. And the other means, I'll tell you guys too, there's a lot of less other means on the web now, because I think a month ago or 2 months ago, all the other means, they just got wiped off the face of the earth. So, yeah. So anyways, whether you're watching this on Netflix or some other way, maybe we just let it stack up and then we just binge watch it at the end of the season. And it might be a better watch binging, because the lulls and the boring segments of this show that are inevitably going to happen with a slower paced show like this, a slower romance show like this, they don't quite sting as hard as when you're waiting 7 days to see the continuation of, or for the next episode to dig you out of the boredom hole that an episode might have put you in, if that makes sense. So those are my recommendations. It's like, should you watch it? I think if one of those 4 things that you connected with, then yes. But I think if you're on the other side of the coin, I think it's one of 2 options. Either no, you don't. You just say, hey, not for me. I wasn't really digging it. You say, I'll give it another episode. We'll kind of see how it swings out. Or you just say, hey, you know what? There might be something here, but I'd rather just, there's so much other good shit this season. I'm just going to go ahead and just let it stack up. I'll come binge 10 episodes. And if those 10 episodes suck, then I'm just not going to watch it. Or maybe, whatever, right? But having that option to watch it in a big chunk is much better, especially because this one's cleared for 25 episodes. That's 25 weeks. Maybe maybe it's 2 cores. Maybe you have like a 2-week lull in there. So potentially you're looking at 27 weeks. That's a lot of time. You're looking at a 6-month commitment essentially. That's a big commitment. So I'm just throwing that energy out there. So you guys let me know in the comments. Now, I said I was going to tell you guys a story. So my issue with the show mainly is the connection to the characters and the fact that she suddenly is showing up at his house. Of course she is. Also, the mom is definitely the hero of the show because she wrote his name in his scarf or whatever. So cute. I do that stuff. I write my kid's name. I was like, I should do it. I was like, I write my kid's name on lunch boxes and stuff like that. So it's like, mom's the hero because that's how she learned his name. And mom has a connection to her mom. Like, okay, that's an easy in. But the connection stuff, it's like I struggle to connect with characters like Taiki who are timid and who are afraid, or they have to work themselves up, or they have to complete a challenge. Like before I can confess, I got to go win the badminton nationals. Like, the fuck you don't. You know what I mean? And when I was in high school, it's like, that's the time period they're in, right? It's high school. Like, if I saw a girl, my high school was so big. I think there was like 4,000 or 5,000 kids at the school, right? My high school was so big that at times, like, if there was like, let's say like a girl that's like, oh, that girl, whatever the reason is, like, she interests me. There's a big chance that it would either be unless she was in a class of mine, it would be a long time before I ever see that girl again, or you just wouldn't, right? So there was times that like I went and I don't want to say ran, but briskly walked over and just hit on a girl right then and there. You know what I mean? There was even like a time like I remember like some girl, like it was like a first day of like some math class or whatever, and in that time in that math class, I remember I sat next to a girl and I was like, hey, yo, is this seat taken? And she was like, no. And I was like, good, because like I really wanted to make sure that I sat next to my new girlfriend. And she was like, what? She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, because you're gonna be my girlfriend now. And she was like, no, I'm not. You don't even know my name. I was like, what was your name? She told me her name. And I was like, oh, I just want to let you know I love you. I was like, and by the way, I'm Dom. You know what I mean? So now you can say it back with my name. And I think I ended up taking that girl on a date like a week later. Maybe it might have been like 2 weeks later, but it wasn't very long after that. So when you have these characters, I, on a personal level, struggle to connect to these characters because I'm just like, that is the opposite of me. Like, I just can't. I gotta be upfront and honest and just get it out the way. It's either we clicked or we didn't. You know what I mean? So I struggle with those ones, and I typically don't like them. So I'm gonna struggle with this show. Do I continue watching it? I don't know. Maybe if you guys like my shitty story I just told. Maybe if you guys show up with like a lot of big views, a lot of comments. If the viewership is there for episode 1, look, I'll show up. I'll be here for episode 2. But if viewership is not there and I'm hot and cold on it already, you know, I'm kind of 50-50. I expected this show to be the gem of the season, and I just don't think it is based on episode 1. I wanted a blue period situation here, and I just didn't quite get it. So it's going to depend on viewership. So I may or may not see you guys next week. A lot of other good anime. Check out the channel. See you then. Peace.